when we have proper assessment, we can stave disaster that might result from binge spending, or from urge spending, or from indiscriminate spending. And it can help us provide insight for planning and proper stewardship of our means. Now, a second step, now there's a whole lot in these different steps, understand that, but we have limited time, so just going to kind of hit the surface. The second hint would be budget your bucks. Budget your bucks. Luke 14, Jesus gives an illustration, and he says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if he has the money to complete it? He goes on to say, because if you don't complete it, people are going to mock you because you started the building, you didn't finish. What Jesus is saying is you need to assess things beforehand, plan it out, budget it before you get involved in something. And so it's good practice as stewards of what God has given us that we have a budget, and you budget your bucks. Planning and budgeting are not ungodly. They are not living by faith. They are, in fact, living by faith and trusting God to give you the wisdom and the insight on how to properly use what God has given you. They're godly steps of stewardship. There's an anonymous poem that reads, budgeting is the thing to do. On that I'm most emphatic. I'm just as broke as I ever was, but now it's systematic. There's no guarantee that if you have a budget, you will never run into some financial failure or financial ruin or financial struggle, especially if you don't budget correctly when you budget, or you don't follow through and live within the means of your budget. Yet living within a budget will make the chances of financial trouble very minimal, especially because God blesses those who conscientiously steward what He has entrusted to them. There's a comedian who I heard years ago, he said, money talks, mine's always saying goodbye. Dave Ramsey, you know, the Christian budget king, he says, you have to tell money what to do or it will leave. D.O. Flynn wrote, the haves and the have-nots can often be traced back to the dids and the did-nots. There's truth in that. When we budget, we tell money what to do. And it's less likely that it's going to tell us goodbye, except on terms that we kick it out. And in the long run, the haves and the have-nots are often determined by the dids and the did-nots. Assess your assets. Know where everything is. Have the borders and understanding of what God has given you. And then within that framework, budget your bucks. Thirdly, corral your credit. Corral your credit. Have you seen these pictures? I've been sent these pictures so many times. You see the picture, that truck, you know, went off the road, okay? And then they give you a wider view. Do you see the truck up there? Credit's like that. Credit can be a little wreck, but if you're not careful, it can be a chasm so deep that you'll be very, very fortunate to get out of it. The use of credit cards and loans is a chasm that'll eat you alive. Proverbs 22:7 tells us that the borrower becomes slave to the lender. Dave Ramsey says that according to the American Bankers Association, listen to this, according to the American Bankers Association, the average family carries $8,000 in credit card debt. And not only that, if you use your credit card, you are likely to spend 12 to 18% more money than you would spend if you didn't use a credit card. Money that could be saved. Money that could be used for godly purposes. Last night, ironically, when I got into bed, I just turned on the TV to see what's happening, and it came on in the middle of Suze Ormond. Is that her name? Susie Ormond or Suze Ormond? I don't know, some financial lady on TV. And she was taking a call from somebody else, and this lady called in, and she said, my husband and I use credit cards, but we pay off our credit cards at the end of every month. But we have a 6-year-old daughter, and our 6-year-old daughter is confused because we talk about money with our daughter, but we use credit cards. And she can't get the connection between credit cards and money. So do you think it would be good for us to give our 6-year-old a debit card? That's exactly what Sue Orman did. She laughed. She said, are you crazy? And then she went on to talk about the effectiveness of using cash and teaching your child on how to properly steward the money. And she said, I've heard Dave Ramsey say also, the problem with credit cards is that we lose touch, literally lose touch with money. You see, when you use cash, it's money you're touching, and the money you see going out of your hand and out of your wallet. But when you use a credit card, it's plastic. And you just put it up there and say, charge it to my credit card. And so you lose the framework of how much you're spending because you're using credit cards and you're not actually being in touch with money. It is a dangerous hole to get into, using credit. And if we want to be good stewards and master our money, then we have to corral our credit uses, even if it means going plastic free. Number 4 hint, diminish your debt ASAP. Diminish your debt as soon as possible. Experts recommend paying off the highest interest rate debts first. So use these first 4 steps. Think about it. Assess your assets. Get the big picture. Within the framework of the big picture, budget your butts. That's on film, too. I meant like, but I need that, but I should buy that, and budget those. That's what I meant. Okay. Get the big picture. Budget your bucks. Okay. I'll take off my tie and jacket and be a different person on the website. Okay. Get the big picture, budget your bucks, corral your credit, and then diminish your debt. And if you will just follow those 4 steps, then you'll begin to experience a freedom and a joy and the real blessing of godly stewardship. You know, Ron Blue.